Well, Ma'at Hotep, brothers and sisters, this is your host for tonight, none other than Pastor E.S. Upchurch, also known as Mwalimu Asa DjehutiRa, and we are glad to come back at you once again with another lively show, another lively discussion, and I promise to behave myself before the Creator, both God and Goddess, and I'm glad that you're here with me, because as I said before, we are going to get deep into many subjects on tonight. But hey, not only am I glad that you're here, I'm also glad that the ancestors are with us. And so, we honor the ancestors that are with us. We honor the ancestors that have lent themselves to our cause. We honor them, and we say by tradition of the African villages all over the nation, O ancestors blacker than 1,000 midnights, it is to you, we your people, your children, that we give unto you respect and honor. You who have been purposely excluded from the history books so that the world would not know of your greatness, we honor you, we love you, we cherish you, our African ancestors who gave civilization to the world, who gave arts, medicine, literature to the world, psychology, mathematics, arithmetic, geometry, the sciences, music. We honor you, ancestors. You who gave God consciousness to the world, we honor you. We ask that you would let your presence fill this place. Stand with us, be with us, and protect us. Give us strength to fight the good fight. Cause us to stand against our enemies and all those that would hinder us from the work of liberation. Be with us. We honor you and we appreciate you. And for those of you in the spiritual tradition, the spiritual discipline of Ifa, we say Oludumare, Oludumare, Majuba Bobo, Yukute Mbele Ese, Oludumare, Iba Arataron. We honor the ancestors who sit at the feet of the Creator, and we honor those of you that are here with us. We want to let you know that we love you. Yes, we do, each and every one of you, and we're glad that you are here with us. In the background is Fertile Ground, and of course, it's appropriate. And you know what? I may even bump it up a little bit, because it's appropriate for tonight. The song says, I want to know the role of my soul in the spirit world. And so we're going to be talking about that on tonight. In the spirit world. And we're going to be talking about the role of your soul, the dimensions of yourself in the spirit world. In fact, I'm going to be shooting some questions to you, and I need you to, just kind of get with me a little bit, and let's do some soul searching. Let's do some mind searching. Let's dig deep into the spirit world. I had an intense discussion with my son, my mini-me, who is none other than my son, Eric. And, my son Eric is like, that part of me that is inquisitive, that part of me that is bullheaded, that part of me that is strong and lovely, he is all of that. And my other son, Daniel, well, guess what? He's also a majority of me as well. Both of them are really as if they're me split down the middle. But I love them because they're showing me different dimensions of life, love, and also of myself. See, that's what parents, you can't trip when it comes to your kids, because you know what? When you get upset about the quote-unquote stupid stuff that they did, when you get upset about, many of the things that they do, guess what? They're pulling from your deposits that you put within them. And so they're really are demonstrating dimensions of your own behavior. That's right. Which is why, brothers and sisters, as parents, this is why you must gain victory over your own demons. You must gain the victory over your own inconsistencies. Brothers and sisters, this is why you must live a personally victorious life. This is why you must, above and beyond all, live a life of truth, live a life of honesty, and live a life of victory, because your children, oh my goodness, your children are going to reveal to you your character flaws. And you know what it is? It's kind of like this. The Creator, both God and Goddess, Ashe to that. Got to magnify that feminine side. Hey, I ain't scared. Hey, I love the energy of the goddess. I love saying goddess because, as I said before, brothers and sisters, 90% of everything that we beg God for is feminine in nature. Go ahead and smoke that in your pipe and deal with it. It's feminine in nature. Protection, food, clothing, shelter. Many times we need to be consoled. So, hey, I claim the energy of the goddess, both God and goddess, and I see the feminine side of the Creator, and that is what keeps the world going round. In fact, what we need to do is elevate the woman and put her right back where she belongs, on the highest pinnacle that we could possibly erect. She belongs in her place. I believe that, and I know I'm going off on the tangent, but y'all just sit down and listen to me. I believe that this is one reason why the world is in the shape that it is in, because the woman is not in her right divine place. And this is the season and the time for the goddess to come back. So, Mama, come on back. We're waiting for you. We love you. But this is why we should have victory in our hearts. This is why we should be victorious in our personalities, because, hey, our children will show us dimensions of ourselves that we refuse to see by ourselves. And as I was going to say, it's kind of like the Creator. The Creator put your eyes, right, in front of your head. You can't see behind you. Okay? But the Creator also put something else behind you that brings about things that are not so pleasant to the smell, to the sight. And so, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Don't get all deep and spiritual. You know exactly you know exactly what I'm talking about. Quit tripping. So, the Creator placed our eyes in the front of our heads and didn't place any behind us. And also, He put something else behind us, okay, so that we would be able to leave things behind that are offensive. Well, many of us, we've taken this to a spiritual level, and we don't want to see the bad parts of ourselves, and neither do we want to deal with the bad parts of ourselves. In fact, we don't want to even acknowledge that there are bad parts to ourselves. Well, how dare you say that about me? Don't you know who I am, Negro? Well, listen, all of us have skeletons. All of us have demons. Yeah, I said it. All of us have demons, including you, with your holier-than-thou self. You've got demons. You've got issues, and we all have issues, and we all have demons. There was a movie that came out, and what movie? The Golden Compass. Many of you brothers and sisters may remember seeing The Golden Compass. And what was interesting right off the bat is, man, you watch that movie, and what are they talking about? Well, they're talking about dimensions of the souls, right, that are depicted as these little animals. Now, check it out, because, if you watch that movie, you will not only discover one of the more true connotations behind the word demon, okay, which is basically that part of you that is hidden that knows. Okay, we call it the spirit man today, but back in the day they called it a demon. Well, demon has taken on a negative, a very negative connotation, and so we's scared of all them. But many of the things that hinder us are basically our own demons. And many of us, especially coming up in the Christian church, hey, man, for you to tell a Christian that they got a demon, man, that is, how dare you, and then, too, for somebody to try to cast the devil out of you, and you're supposed to be saved and sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost, profession Christianity, man, that was serious in the church. I ain't got no devil, but guess what? We all do, okay? We all do in that sense. Now, I want to get into this because I'm really just kind of warming up here, and I'm getting you to understand that, that while you have your demons, we all have our demons, we all have our issues, but even as the Creator put your eyes in front of your head, you are to focus on where you are going, okay? And, of course, your eyes were not put in the back of your head, so you don't need to keep always focusing on where you've been. No, you got to see where you're going, and that's going to come into play in the midst of this conversation. But yet and still, for those of us that don't want to clean up our mess that we've left behind us, the Creator has a way of doing that, right? Because, again, your children are basically what your children will show you bits of your own character, bits of your own heart, your mind, and your soul. It is very true that during the moment of conception, a snapshot is taken of your soul and your spiritual disposition, also of the mate that you are with, and in the midst of conception, hey, the deck is shuffled, and individuals end up coming into being based upon the parents, the mama and the daddy. And so the child enters into the world with a foundation of spiritual disposition. In other words, let me put it to you differently. The child that is brought about by means of this mama and daddy, whether you're married or not, you bring spirit into the bedroom chamber with you. You bring heartaches, problems. You bring memories into the bedroom chamber with you. And so what happens is you end up conceiving out of your mess or out of your blessing, which basically ends up being the pillars of your own child's soul. Okay, I mentioned this before. There has been a number of different genetic studies where, for instance, there was a young lady who, at the age of 36, at a particular month of the year and at a particular time of the day, she was sitting and she suddenly felt a sharp pain in her left side, and she grabbed it, okay? And so she told her father about this, and the father was amazed because she had a birthmark where he got shot in his side before she was conceived, and he passed along to her that memory. Okay, so many of us are dealing with some of the issues that our parents didn't get straight, and that weighs into our spirituality. Now, what I'm saying is this, that the deeds of your parents, okay, you don't have your parents' spirit, and you don't carry around their sin or their transgressions, but guess what? You do carry around the character traits of your given parents. All right? And in other words, you have the potential to do good, you've got the potential to do evil, but based upon where your mama and your daddy was at the moment of conception, there are certain things that are going to be more tantalizing to you. There's going to be other things that are, you don't like, you hate, you dislike. And many of those influences come from your parents. And so therefore, how you look at the world and even your spirituality is connected to the moment of conception. And what was the spiritual disposition of your mama, of your daddy? Okay? There's stuff that I go through now, man. I know I'm tripping. And I know where it come from my mama and my daddy, which is not to say that, I'm blaming it on them. No, I took the choice to feel that. I took the choice to think that. It's kind of like this, you're a child at the table and you can eat whether you want to or not. Okay? Spiritually speaking, we're all adults and we make choices. We can choose to eat or not, or take the gift or not, or take the problem or not. And the way that it is, brothers and sisters, is that guess what? Well, you can choose what to take or what not to take, but your parents are the ones that set the plate on the table. Now, you can eat if you want to, or you can go and get your own food. But it's up to you to choose. And so this choice is very important. And so in the movie The Golden Compass, they just came right out and said, like, "Pow, guess what? Yeah, that part that's following you and that part that is with you is your soul." And they called the soul a demon. Okay, now don't let that trip you out. Once again, we're talking about the ancient, or I should say the more ancient connotation and derivation of the word demon. If you look at some of the more modern definitions of what a demon is, of course the connotation behind demon is evil spirit, okay? And we don't want to tap into evil. We're not down with that. We're beings of light. Can I get an ashe? Well, we're beings of light, all right? And while hey y'all, listen to this ashe. Okay. We are beings of light and we love truth. Okay? So we must be willing to entertain truth about ourselves. But one of the modern definitions of demons is a spirit that knows, a spirit that has understanding. Okay? And, okay, now let me go here, see, because y'all, okay. Y'all gonna take me here. Looking at the Book of Enoch, okay, the Charles translation of the Lost Book of Enoch, you'll find out that the original source of demons, okay, the original source of demons was the disembodied spirits of men that had died in their iniquity, and they were sentenced to walk the earth. Now that's in the apocryphal book of Enoch, which fits into a lot of the modern, I'm not saying your religious doctrine, but it fits into the modern scope of spirituality, where they say that these entities and spirits and so forth and so on, guess what? They are nothing more than disembodied individuals, okay? And so, on that note, brothers and sisters, we're going to be talking about spirituality. Where are you spiritually? Are you a spiritual brother or sister, or are you just someone that simply loves to hate the white man and loves to hate everything that has been done to us? Do you spend your time doing nothing but rehearsing what they have done to us, or do you find yourself desiring to be more and more spiritual as the day is long? If so, then we want to talk about it here on WKHR Radio, your Kemetic Heritage voice on the internet.
Wake up. Inside you there is a mighty African warrior. Wake up, for inside you is a mighty African scholar. Wake up, for inside you is a mighty African queen, a mighty African king. Pastor Upchurch has a new DVD entitled Reawakening Your Inner African. He discusses DNA activation, the pineal gland, the ancestors, and so much more. A little history, a little metaphysics. This is just what the doctor ordered. Join the family. Be what you were always meant to be. Awaken your inner African today. Just go to www.wkhradio.com and order your DVD today while supplies last. For a $25 donation, you can begin the journey you were destined to. Reawaken the African in you today.
Well, we are back. We're glad to be with you, brothers and sisters. If you stop by the chat room, I've got a confession to make. I just absolutely love apple juice. I love it. I love it. I love it. And so if you see me wetting my whistle, then, hey, don't worry about it. It's all good. And listen, but let's continue, because as I mentioned before, as I opened talking about spirituality, that you are given, okay, a foundation for your spirituality through those that came before you. Now, out of doing research and also tapping into our ancient culture, we find out that the ancestors are very important to us, even for the reasons that I just named, such as your parents give you the basics of your spiritual disposition. Now, you could tap into the Old Testament mythology, and guess what you would find? You would find that the God of the fathers of the individuals in the Old Testament, that there was a connection there. There was a passing of spirituality, a passing of anointing. The priest went from father to son to father to son. And so there was a transfer of spirit coming from the parents, okay, or the ancestors, to those that existed in that day and in that time. And it's no different than us. We have a spirituality, okay, that has been dispensed to us. And herein is where we need to really make some decisions as to which doctrine we're going to believe. Now, your parents, we know this in a very real sense. You can look at some of your children and say, you know what, he acts just like Bubba, because that's Bubba's son. And so we know this. We know that our children come with characteristics of either ourselves or even members of our family. And we know this. But yet when it comes to spirituality, many of us don't want to recognize that we have a spiritual dispensation that's sort of set up and given to us from our ancestors. And so your ancestors become very, very important as to what it is that you flow with spiritually. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that you are responsible for all of the spiritual mayhem that your ancestors may have gotten themselves into. No. That's separate from you. But what I am saying in a nutshell, brothers and sisters, is that if you had a daddy that loved to drink, chances are, that the potential is even built within your genes, within your genetic makeup, for you to also love alcohol. Why? Because that was a part of the spiritual disposition that your father or mother embraced as you were being conceived. So that mindset is also portrayed, all right? And also feelings of inadequacy, wanting to be loved, not able to get enough love. All of these things are transferred in the womb, brothers and sisters. So then your ancestors, now think about this, when your ancestors gave to your parents, they had parents that gave to them, and those parents had parents that gave to them. So we here are dealing with a multitude of issues, a multitude of potential, a multitude of both positive and negative, that has to be negotiated for the greater good. And so this is why the victories of our ancestors are important for us today, because you are dealing with all of their stuff, man. You're dealing with all of their stuff. You're dealing with all of their issues, And not only that, but you're dealing with the potential for all of those issues to resurface themselves. All right? So let me get a question here. From Zion Hall. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to all of you in the chat room. Got to give a shout out to all of you in the chat room. Big 027, DjehutiRa, Zion Hall, and others are also staring in, but not coming in yet. Hey, we want to just give a shout out to you and let you know that we love you, we appreciate you, and thank you for being with us. Zion Hall says, Brother Mwalimu, can it be said that we are everything spiritually, cosmically, physically, etc., that our ancestors were? And I say to that, Zion Hall, unequivocally, yes, we are. We are that. At the moment of your conception and birth, you are the sum total of all of your ancestors that has ever come before you. Which is why, listen to me, brothers and sisters, this is why you got to be real with your children and rehearse to them your failures and your victories. You got to be real with your children. Look, Junebug, this is what I had a problem with, And listen, I'll confess my faults. Listen, hey y'all, it ain't funny, right? But well, maybe it is funny, because I told my kids, I said, look, y'all, I apologize. Look, I apologize. I was messed up when I had you. I was messed up, right? A brother had some issues. And so now that my children are growing up, I see myself, even my former self, in my children. So then what do? That area, let's say if it's something bad. I'm about to help some of y'all, so just listen. If it's something bad, first of all, you got to recognize it. Look, I know that comes from me. All right? That's what I put into the equation. All right? I know that comes from me. But then you realize, you know what? You ask yourself the question, have I dealt with that? Have I dealt with that issue? Have I conquered that in my life? Now, if you have conquered that, you now have the skill sets to be able to tap into your children's issues and deal with them and share with them so that they could then take your answers, okay, and of course flow with that. Now this goes with spirituality on just about every level. Your victories become someone else's victories. Your triumphs becomes someone else's triumph. So this is why, brothers and sisters, you need to live a victorious spiritual life. So, in talking about our spirituality, we recognize that the ancestors are vitally important to your spirituality. We don't just talk about the ancestors because, like, yeah, you know, we're supposed to be African dog, and so, yeah, man, we just go ahead and talk about the ancestors. No. There's a reason for that. There is a divine reason for that, even divine wisdom that dictates that, yeah, you talk about your ancestors, you dig into your family history, okay, and you look at your mama, you look at, listen, everybody need to have an in-depth conversation with their grandmama and their granddaddy. Look, I want you to tell me how crazy my mama was, or how crazy my daddy was when they were growing up. And let your grandparents share with you some of the issues that your mama and daddy had, especially if they won't be real with you. Because some parents trip. They want to act like they all, you know, I never did any sin, I never did any wrong. Look, Negro, you was young once. And you can't front like you didn't, you can't front like you didn't tip and do some things, okay? Which is why I really have a problem with some individuals who act like they was never young. Look, you was young before. You remember what it was like, so quit tripping, okay? I'll never forget one time I was kissing my wife, and my mom, because way back then we was living with them, right? And she's like, ugh, yuck. You know, and I'm like, man, I ain't gonna tell you what really I thought, But I'm like, man, a brother can't even, be kind to her. And it wasn't like I was like all over her. I mean, like, man, dude, it was just, But they're like, ugh, look, Negro, you was young once. Quit tripping. Back when you was young, you was trying to get all you could get and can all that you could get. So don't even trip. Now that you're a little older, you want to forget what it was like. Parents, you do your children a great disservice when you do that. But let's talk about your spirituality, because as you tap into, your family's history, okay, it's there that your victories lie. Oh, let me get into this, y'all. Because many of us, in desiring to be African, we're mentioning those that are not our immediate ancestors. Okay? John Henry Clark is not your ancestor. He's an elder in the spiritual realms, but he's not your ancestor. Okay? Khalid Muhammad is not your ancestor. He's an elder in the ancestral realm, but he is not your ancestor. Your ancestor are your folks, your people, your lineage, your bloodline. Okay? And I know that, yeah, okay, I know I'm splitting hairs. I know that you could go back to the first, black woman in Africa, and yeah, we're all related. But look. Khalid Muhammad did not feed into your gene pool. His spirit does not feed in. Now, listen, you can invoke that spirit by means of pouring libations, and you can tap into that energy, but I'm telling you, you better watch what you're doing, because Khalid Muhammad may have had some issues that you didn't know about that plagued him to the day that he died. You better watch it, because Malcolm had some issues that plagued him to the day that he died. We look at the public self, we look at the public ego, and don't tap deep into the spirit of what's going on, and don't realize that some of these folk that we are idolizing and calling their names as ancestors were spiritual booger bears, pretenders. okay, that had many issues. And I'm not saying that Malcolm was a pretender. I'm not saying that Khalid Muhammad. But I'm saying the potential is there to call upon someone that we think is great in our eyes. But in reality, they have issues, and when you call upon that spirit, y'all better realize that what you're doing has power. And when you call upon Khalid Muhammad, everything that Khalid Muhammad was comes with him. His problems, his hang-ups, okay? When you call Malcolm, everything that Malcolm was comes with him. All right? When you call on John Henrik Clark and some of these, listen, you better tap in and know really what you're calling on, okay? Because, listen, let me tell you this. My father was semi-famous in his day in the circles that he ran around with. But I know that while he was living here on earth, there was a public self and there was a private self. Now, I believe that since then, I believe that, I'm believing that he, got some stuff straight, because I've gone through a ritual to help him. Okay, and some of you may have a problem with that. Some of you good Christians may have a problem with that. Well, the Bible say that once we... Listen, Negro, listen. Just stick with me here for a second. Don't get all dogmatic on me. Just stick with me for a second. When an individual ceases to exist in this physical plane, they reside and enter into the spiritual realms, okay, on a certain level of the astral plane based upon where they were in life. Let me put it to you like this. If they were a dog in life, then they go to the dog astral plane when they die. All right? They hang around energies that are on their level, because one of the metaphors for spirit is water, and water seeks its own level. Your own spirituality will be mimicked in those that you hang around once you pass into the spiritual realms. In other words, if you weren't master material in your waking life, then when you die, you ain't gonna be, suddenly with the masters. No, you will be joined together on a level of your peers. All right? And then you will learn and hopefully be able to make transition into higher realms, which is why we're trying to elevate our consciousness in the here and in the now. So, brothers and sisters, yeah. Like Zion Hall says, stop fronting, okay? And Zion Hall also says, be careful of what you pray and what you wish for. And I got to say, ashe to that, because that is can I get an ashe in the house? That is most definitely the truth. Because we don't realize how powerful we are spiritually. We are pulling on spiritual energies, calling names, calling folks to be our ancestors that are not our ancestors. Okay? And I'm not going to get too deep into this, but there's also a whole nother side to spirituality where individuals tap into other entities who pretend to be who you're calling on. That's why you got to stick with your own folk that you know. Because you know grandmama's spirit, you know Big Daddy's spirit, you know Pawpaw's spirit. I mean, you know your folks, right? When my grandfather died, the day after my grandfather died, we used to share the same room together, and we slept in twin beds. Well, his twin bed was on one side of the room, mine was on the opposite side of the room. Now, it just so happened that the day after he died, because he went to the hospital and he spent some time in the hospital, and when he died, there were clothes on his bed. But I'll never forget the day after he died. When I woke up that morning, I heard his breathing. Okay? I heard his breathing in his bed, as it always was. But guess what? Since I knew who my Big Daddy was, man, I wasn't scared. Man, I love my Big Daddy. And so this is what many of us don't have. We're not tapping into our own people. And your ancestors are your own people, man. Quit tripping and going outside and getting somebody that's... Dr. Martin Luther King ain't none of your family. So why call on someone that is a stranger? You tap into that ancestral realm of those... Not just, listen, even those in your bloodline you don't call. You don't just call up everybody that's even in your bloodline, because some of them was booger bears, right? I got relatives that, man, I wouldn't, I don't trust them, I didn't trust them when they was alive. And now that they're in the spirit realm, you think I'm going to just, no, ain't going to happen. Right? Ain't gonna happen, because now they have the ultimate freedom of spirituality. And once they learn the ropes of how to maneuver in the spirit world, man, please, that spiritual energy will either learn, walk into the light, or that spiritual energy will keep on doing what it was doing all the time. Oh my goodness, because those that we call our people that have gone on, they're just like when they was alive. They can make a choice. Whether they're going to learn, whether they're going to do good, or whether they're just going to keep being stuck on stupid. And guess what? There's many individuals in my family. I wouldn't call on them for nothing. I wouldn't call them. But now, I will send them positive energy and help them with their spiritual work and help them to evolve spiritually. Okay? Now, for those of you good Christians out there that are listening to me, and if you ain't hung up on me yet, listen. Why do you think the Apostle Paul said that there are prayers that are given for the dead, and even a baptism unto the dead? Because the Apostle Paul, even though many of what was written in his name is fiction, basically, hey, there was a belief that you can do things in the natural, in your waking human life, that will help the ancestors in their realm. Okay? Now, I know I've talked a lot, but let me just give you some of this. It was found written in the tomb of Seti I. And this is written about Ra. Now, we all know who Ra is, right? We say that, well, Ra is God. But now check this out. I'm going to read to you from the Legends of the Egyptian Gods by E.A. Wallace Budge. Yeah, okay. On page 17, it says, Then Ra, and I want you to hear this. Then Ra spake unto Nu. Now, you know who Nu is, right? Ra arose out of the primordial waters of Noon, okay? Also called Nu here. Then Ra spake unto Nu, saying, O thou firstborn God, listen, O thou firstborn God, talking to Nu, from whom I came into being. O ye gods of ancient time. Wait a minute. Ra is saying that Nu is a god of ancient time, and there were other gods before him of ancient time. Let me keep reading. O ye gods of ancient time, my ancestors, take ye heed to what men and women are doing, for behold, thou who were created by my eye are uttering words. Those who were created by my eye are uttering words of complaint against me. Tell me what ye would do in this manner, and consider this thing for me, and seek out a plan for me, for I will not slay them until I have heard what ye shall say to me concerning it. Did y'all hear that? In a nutshell, do you know what that is saying? It says, brothers and sisters, that even Ra has an ancestor. Even the gods of ancient Egypt have ancestors. And this lets you know how important the ancestors are, my brothers and sisters. It's all about the ancestors. It's all about your ancestors. That is the ticket. That is the key. That is where it is, brothers and sisters, with the ancestors. Even Ra has ancestors. Okay? When you look at the fact that that Het-Heru and Asar, Aset, and Nebuchadnezzar, all of them, listen, they have Ra for their ancestor. But guess what? Even Ra has ancestors. And so Ra turned to the primordial waters of noon and said, hey, I come out of you. I come from you. So even before I make a move, and I know I said that, hey, that when I came into being, that being itself came into being. Listen, I know that I said that I created all, but you are the ones that created me so that I can create all. So as I'm in this situation, I'm consulting my ancestors, blacker than 1,000 midnights. Connect with me on this issue. Ancestors in the spiritual realm, connect with me on this issue. And Ra said, I'm not going to make a move. I'm not going to make a move until I connect with my ancestors. Oh man, that is powerful, brothers and sisters. That is powerful. Based upon some things that I was saying before, Big 027 says, I was taught that there is a difference between honoring your ancestors and evoking spirits of your ancestors. For example, I may pour libations to all my ancestors in my family, even those that had issues, because if they never existed, I wouldn't exist now. Now, if I evoke a spirit, I will evoke that spirit that's relative to my situation. If I have to go to war, I might call on Khalid Muhammad. Okay? And I don't have a problem at all with what's being said. I'm simply saying that when you call upon someone, you are calling upon all of that someone, including some of the hidden issues that they may have had. Okay, and let me just stick with you with this. What you see, and this is why you got to know your family history. Who of your own people also was a mighty warrior? Because you see, anyone in your immediate lineage is going to be just like a positive member of your family. First of all, as far as ancestors is concerned, those that we consider to be an ancestor are those who are venerated, uplifted, in light, resurrected, okay? And so, yeah, we flow with those who are in the light. So, which means that they did good. They have a positive outlook for their people and for those in their family. So, yeah, you can tap into their energy, and they're going to do you nothing but good. Okay? It's known in the metaphysical realm that individuals, okay, and I'm talking spirit, kind of like spiritual law here, brothers and sisters, that when you tap into spiritual law, that a spirit does not come around you unless it has a connection to you. All right? So, in a very esoteric sense, from some of the testimonies and some of those that I have heard give testimony about what happens in the spirit world, some of them because they died and came back, others because they deal with the spirit world, others because they surf the astral planes all the time and they kind of know the lay of the land, that basically, in a nutshell, okay, spirits can recognize a likeness in you, and if they don't know you, they can tap into that likeness and then either feed off of it or stick with you because of it. But bottom line of it is, generally speaking, your family folk are always around you. Okay, so now at face value, I have nothing to differ with than what Big 027 said, but please hear me, okay? Hear me in the right tone, hear me in the right spirit. I'm saying that when you call upon someone, All right? When you evoke the presence of an ancestor, you're bringing everything that ancestor was dealing with and has to deal with. Because even though their body does not exist, guess what? They still exist. And all I'm saying, Big 027, is that we better make sure that we know who we're calling on, all right? I'm not saying don't call on Khalid Muhammad, but know what you're doing when you call on Khalid Muhammad, okay? Whoever you call on, make sure that you know what's going on before you honor an ancestor, okay? And I'm not going to tap into the nuances between recognizing and honoring an ancestor and actually evoking the presence of an ancestor. Because really, honestly, when you acknowledge an ancestor, they become present. Okay? Whether you call it, purposely evoking or not, that does become an issue. Okay? You can acknowledge it and say, hey, man, I thank God for, Aunt May. And that's fine. But you got to understand that even while you're mentioning them and calling out their name, you do pull on that spiritual entity. Okay? Which is why, again, I'm just saying, Big 027, and I know you feel me, okay? But what I'm saying is, if you're going to call on somebody, you better know what you're doing. That's all I'm saying, okay? I didn't say don't call on anybody. I'm just saying, hey, we got to know exactly what we're doing. And also on that note, we neglect our immediate ancestors for those that we think are famous and big and strong. You've got many of your people that have done so much for you already, okay? They're waiting to help you. And now that they're in the ancestral realm, they can help you even more than they ever could. All right? They can help you more than they ever could now that they are empowered and resurrected in life. Rasta asked the question, teacher, can we call on Imhotep? Well, you can listen, any and everyone has the ability to call on anyone. You can call on Hitler if you want. Okay? You can call on anyone that you so desire. Now, I will say this. If I'm going to call on someone that is not immediately in my family lineage, in my bloodline, I will call upon those that I know or believe or am convinced they were Ma'atian in their character. Okay? They walked in Ma'at, they walked in truth, they walked in, that divine spirit of love and reciprocity. Okay, I will call, if I were to call upon someone, I will call upon those that walked in Ma'at. Because remember, one of the admonitions of Ma'at is, I have not made anyone to cry. I have not stolen with violence. I have not, I have not done iniquity. So, I would call upon someone that I know walked and lived in Ma'at. Okay, but other than that, hey, I don't know what some of these jokers was on, and unless I'm led to do otherwise, I will call upon my folk that I know walk the walk and talk the talk. That way, you are safe. Now, my goodness, man, dealing with spirituality. Notice that Ra said that I'm calling upon my ancestors. Now, they looked upon Ra as being God. But guess what? Ra said, I'm not doing nothing until I hear from my ancestors. So this whole ancestral thing, family, is deep. And that lets you know that, hey, that's right where it's at with the ancestors. Because when you tap into the ancestors and tap into that spirituality, you are tapping into all of the wisdom and knowledge that dates back even to the beginning of the world. Okay? And so it is very important. It is very needful. Listen, your people want to help you. Okay? Looking at the Ifa spiritual tradition, they say that, listen, that it was one of your ancestors that was a sponsor for you coming here. It could have been your great uncle Junebug or your Aunt May or somebody. It could have been somebody so far back in your lineage that had the answer to a particular problem in your day and age that said, you know what, hey, let's bring this one in. Let's bring in this player and let them bring the answer and the solution in order to help this family. So there's a lot that goes on in the spiritual realm, brothers and sisters, and we need not be ignorant of these things. Neither do we need to be afraid of these things, because, listen, just as my grandmama, my big mama, man, I would no more be afraid of her in the spirit realm than I was when she was here in the natural. Now, I respected her. She wasn't nobody to play with. But, man, I love my grandmama. And if she was, man, listen, I got nothing to be afraid of with my grandmother, okay? And this is why, listen, brothers and sisters, this is why, too, you kind of stick with your own people, because then you don't have to worry about imposter spirits, okay? And let me just, oh my goodness, okay, I'm not going to get too deep into this, but let me just say this. In the spiritual realm, you got to understand, it can be a lot like the physical realm. And imagine someone being blind in the natural. Okay, for those of you that are Bible thumpers, imagine the story of Isaac with Jacob and Esau. Isaac is blind, and he can be easily fooled by Jacob. Okay, because he cannot see. Well, okay, if you're blind, someone can fool you because of what you cannot see. And in the spirit realm, brothers and sisters, guess what? Our vision can be very limited when it comes to the spiritual realms. Now, there are some exercises that we could show you to help you out to be able to see more clearly in the spirit realm. But bottom line of it is, most of us are nearsighted, blindsided, or, fuzzy-sided when it comes to the spirit realms. And so we can be easily fooled, especially when you're dealing with someone that you don't know. Okay? Which is why again, it's better for you to stick with your own people, because that way, listen, you know the spirit of grandmama. Okay? You know the spirit of grandmama. Now, in relationship to what I said before, Big 027 says, I agree, because I have heard a brother on the lecture circuit call on some beings that has a history of being evil. I have seen a brother pour out a libation to Lucifer, and the audience gave an ashe without realizing what they were doing. Okay? So you do want to be careful, all right? Now, I'm just going to leave that right where it is. Thank you, Big 027. I know some of us may want to differ with the term, Lucifer. It really means light bringer, light giver. Okay, we're not going to go there right now. Okay, you understand what the brother is saying. His point is made, and you understand exactly what he is saying. Okay, so look, my brothers and sisters, at your own spirituality. Okay, first of all, let's answer the question: how do you get spiritual? How do you get spirit? I mean, listen, to tap into spirit, what do you do to tap into spirit? And I really want to hear from some of you on this. Let me know, what do you do to tap into spirit? Okay, I know I'm talking about this particular facet of the ancestors right now, but what do you do to tap into spirit when you're feeling a little down? When you're feeling, what do you do to tap into spirit? Okay, those of you in the chat room, holla at me. Also, the phone line is open, 877-458-9547. Oh, Fertile Ground was singing the song before as I begun. I want to know the role of my soul in the spirit world. In fact, you know what I'm going to do, y'all? I think I'm going to have to resurrect that, y'all. I think I'm going to have to call that one back up, and I think that we just might need to hear that again, because that is such a good song. We're waiting for you to call in, waiting for you to holler at us, right? Waiting for you to get with us and let us know, how do you spell spirit? How do you tap into the spiritual? How do you deal with spirituality? What do you tap into? Let us know. Talk to us, brothers and sisters. because one of the major indictments is that, many consciousness movements have a big problem in that they're a bunch of information without being spiritual. And so, hey, we want you to holler at us, talk to us, let us know what you think, let us know what you feel. Okay, talking about spirituality. We'll be right back after Fertile Ground. I want to know the role of my soul in the spirit world. We're back with you, brothers and sisters. This is Fertile Ground playing in the background. I want to know the role of my soul in the spirit world. And, when I heard this song, I felt the same way. I want to know how to flow in spirit. I want to know how to, conduct myself, the skills and the talents necessary to be able to flow in the spirit world as we should, of course, for the greater good. All right. Hey, Brother DjehutiRa, we are right here, my brother. No need to trip. We're right here. Big 027. Big 027 is answering the question, how do you get spiritual? How do you spell spirit? What do you do in order to tap into spirituality? Our brother tells us, listen to Big 027. Go outside, listen to the birds, meditate and breathe. Get in tune with nature. I balance by meditation, prayer, and observing nature. A big ashe to that, my brother. Big 027. I got to give you an ashe. Because, that is a wonderful way to tap into spirit. Okay? But not only that, my brothers and sisters, what other methods do you know of tapping into the spirit? I agree with Big 027. Yeah, that's a wonderful thing to do. It's a wonderful thing to practice, right? Keep it up. It's a wonderful thing. It's a good thing. Okay? It's also very healthy for the human body. But at the same time, brothers and sisters, It is my belief that we must bring spirituality to this movement of consciousness. We must bring spirituality back into this movement, because many of us have just become historians, we become lecturers, and we have not become carriers of spirit. We don't spiritually impart blessing unto our people. We just simply spit a lot of facts, a lot of information, and some of it is tweaked with hatred, revenge, bitterness, remorse. And so we're really doing a disservice to our brothers and our sisters, because we're giving them negative spirituality. Okay? And we need all the truth, all the positive spirituality that we can get, because we live in a negative society. I know you hear me on that. But my point is, there are other things. There's other ways to be spiritual. Now, let me ask this question. Do you all believe that we should pray as being conscious individuals? Because some people have a problem with praying. Man, I don't pray, man. Praying ain't nothing but begging, man, and I don't beg for no... Listen, some people have a serious problem with simply saying a prayer. Okay? Now, I agree that many folk do it wrong, because what we were taught in the Christian church is you beg God. And if you beg God enough, now, listen, they won't tell you that, but listen to some of these jacklegs as they pray. Oh, come on now, Lord. Lord, you see my suffering. Lord, you see how much we're going through. Lord, you see the pain. Lord, you see, and they're getting into a begging kind of a mentality. Okay? You don't need to do that. You tap into the universe. Understand that the true face of the Creator is all that you see, all that you behold, and so you reverence it, you honor the universe, and you speak to the universe from heart, not necessarily with words. Now, I heard someone today that said, well, if you're going to be spiritual, speak in this earth realm out loud to the earth realm if you're going to be spiritual. Well, be that as it may, I'm not going to knock it. I ain't going to hate on it, right? But you can tap into the power of the universe, brothers and sisters, and harmonize with the universe, okay? And just simply put out there to the universe what you call into being. Because, listen, a deeper side of all of this, when we talk about the ancestors, when we talk about the Necheru, when we talk about Asar, Aset, Nebuchadnezzar, Set, Haru, and Shu, Tefnut, when you talk about all the Necheru, when you talk about all of the manifestations of the Creator in ancient Kemet, you're talking about dimensions of your own higher self. Okay? That's what you're talking about, brothers and sisters. You are a God, and you pull upon your Ra. You pull upon your Aset. You pull upon your Haru. Y'all, I'm about to start shouting and dancing around here. You pull upon your Haru. You pull upon your own Nebuchadnezzar to get stuff done around the house. You do pull upon these energies, these spiritual dispositions, because you, my brothers and sisters, you are all of spirituality, but you don't know it yet. You have all the power of the Spirit, but you don't know it yet. Many of us, we've been taught to look outside ourselves for spirituality, and we have not yet learned that all lies within us. You are Ra, you are Haru, you are Set, you are Nebuchadnezzar, you are Eshu, you are Elegba, you are Yemaya, you are Shango, you are everything that you could name. You are that. No matter what discipline you choose, brothers and sisters, you are divine. You are that God. You are that goddess. Zion Hall says, I try to remain a student of spirituality, constantly learning, forgiving, healing, and teaching. Oh, I gotta say a shade to that. And I have not forgotten prayer. Man, I gotta say I shade to that. Man, that, because many of us have forgotten how to forgive. We've forgotten how to love. Listen, love is the greatest spiritual weapon. Love is the greatest tool. Love is the greatest medium. Love is the absolutely greatest connector. It's the greatest foundation for working a miracle in someone's life, and you have the power to do that. So, listen, love is very important. Let's not forget how to love, my brothers and my sisters. For those of you that don't know this, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. When I arise in the morning, I remind myself of my charge given to me by the Creator. And when I remember this charge, before I say this charge, I also remember and speak out of my mouth what foundation I stand on in order to accomplish this charge. And I say it by simply speaking 2 words. And the 2 words are, I love. I love. Anything that I do is through the medium of love and concern for my people and compassion and love for life and love for truth and love for righteousness, love for ma'at. The love, like it says in the Hosea, all I have done for you is for the love of you. Amen. Love is the key. Love is the medium. Love is the foundation. And it's a powerful foundation. Okay? Love is very important. The Zion Hall says no begging. I mentioned about prayer and begging, right? The Zion Hall says no begging, just giving thanks for this H-U-E man, for this human experience. Rasta says, teacher, I do so through mind and heart. And let me say this, because Rasta, you just done opened up a whole can of worms. In this age in which we are entering in, I did a show last week, and I talked about the Piscean age, and I also listen. The title of the show is Negotiating the End. You know how some folks are talking about the end of the world. It's the end of the world. End of the world is coming. Well, I dealt with that, right? I dealt with a little bit of Christian eschatology. I dealt with, some of the Bible scriptures, and we tapped into it, and, And we dealt with also about the Piscean age, the age of Pisces that we're going out of, and we also tapped into the age of Aquarius. And listen, brothers and sisters, you've heard people talk about 2012. Listen, you really want to be all up in your heart during this time. I'm talking about flowing from the heart. If there's a battle between the head and the heart, listen, lean towards the heart, but don't forget the head. The heart is going to be key for this up-and-coming window of opportunity that we have to transition into higher consciousness. Flow with the heart. Do what is in your heart. And I must repeat what was put in the mouth of Shakespeare. Don't stone me for quoting this. But to thine own heart be true. And as follows the day, the night, you will have no need of being found false by any man. Follow your heart, brothers and sisters. And do what we said in the Kemetic traditions of Ma'at. I have not swallowed my heart. In other words, I have not felt remorse. I've not swallowed myself up in remorse and regret and shame and dogging myself. No, you live from the heart without excuse. Okay? Like I said, don't forget the head, but you live from the heart. Sunlight says, prayer should not be begging. No, and I agree with you, Sunlight. Prayer should not be begging. But at the same time, Sunlight says that there should be forgiveness and love of self. And I gotta say, ashe to that. Many of us hold ourselves hostage, and we hold ourselves. You know what we do? Just like the Catholic Church put individuals through the Inquisition, many of us inquisition ourselves. And we flog and punish and torture ourselves, constantly rehearsing our own faults, our own negativity, our own places where we missed it, we messed up, we failed, we bathe ourselves in shame and in remorse. Because the Christian church taught us that this is what you got to do. You got to really feel like you're sorry. No. pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and just say, you know what, I ain't doing that again, and go about your business, okay? Accept and embrace your past. Every mistake that you made, every mistake, every embarrassing moment, you know what you need to do in order to really heal yourself? Embrace that moment in truth. Yeah, I did it. Yes, I embarrassed myself because I thought one way and it was really another way. And then have the boldness to forgive yourself. It's okay for me to make a mistake. It's okay for me to make a mistake. If I can forgive others for making a mistake, why can't I forgive myself for making a mistake? You help yourself out spiritually by saying, I'm not perfect. You know, embrace listen, I'm not saying wallow in your imperfection, but embrace the fact that you are not perfect and that you are going to make mistakes. Therefore, forgive yourself for making mistakes. Rasta says, teacher, I do so through mind and heart. So, teacher, is it good to do so? And I want to say to you, Rasta, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because you know what? Spirituality is individual. It is subjective. No one can teach you how to be spiritual. I can share with you some techniques that I use to see and hear in spirit. I can share with you some techniques, but you know what? Your spirituality is really your own business. No one has any right coming to you and dictating to you what your spirituality should be. No one can dictate to you your spiritual path and your spiritual journey. That is for you to discover and you to learn. Okay? So, there's, and religions are big on this for telling you what you should think, what you should believe, what you should expect spiritually. No, you cannot confine my spiritual experience to your agreed upon dogma that 9 times out of 10 a committee got together and voted on. No, no. Rasta says, teacher, you said I opened up a can of worms. Is that good? Yes, that's good, Rasta. That is very good. A can of good worms, if there is such a thing, right? Yeah, definitely. Because one of the statements that you mentioned, Rasta, was doing spirituality or being spiritual by means of, following your mind and your heart. And that's what I wanted to tap into, the heart. Okay? So yeah, you opened up a good can of worms, and thank you for that. Thank you for leading us there, and thank you for pointing out my attention to that. Man, y'all, dang. Look, y'all, I'm having a moment of deja vu. I'm having a moment of deja vu. And it's because of the last thing that Rasta said. Dang, man, this is tripping me out, y'all. Oh, man, I need a moment. Dang, I remember saying that. I need a moment. Y'all, I'm tripping. Dang, I remember saying that. Hey, y'all, hey, y'all, I'm having a massive deja vu moment here. And I'm trying to remember what is the gist of... Man, this is a trip because I've been in this moment before. Talking about being spiritual. I've lived this moment before, and it's tripping me out. But let me just say this, Rasta, you led us into a good can of worms. Man, I'm tripping because this is... Man... Rasta didn't know that asking me that question would reveal to me that I was having a deja vu experience. Dang. I'm tripping, y'all. I'm tripping. Okay, let me slow down. Okay, let me slow down. In fact, you know what, y'all? Give me a few minutes. Let me just kind of, sort of get my head together. Man, I'm having a deja vu moment, man. Whew, give me just a second. I'm coming back to you, Rasta. Give me a second, Rasta. I'm coming back to you, honey. Wow. Okay, I'm back, family. I'm back. I'm dealing with this deja vu moment. And, man. Whoo, man. I tell you, man, whoo, man. Okay, let me come back, y'all. Let me come back. For the past 2 minutes, everything that has gone on, I remembered it because I experienced it. And I keep trying to see what's on the other side of this particular deja vu experience. And a brother is kind of tripping right now. But hey, nonetheless, I'm glad I could have this tripped out spiritual experience with all of my brother, with you, all right? Hey, you were a part of this moment. So if, not if, but when I write about this in a book, you will remember, you will be a part of it. I want to say to Rasta wants to know the email address. That can be obtained by looking at the welcome page of the website. Listen, family. Wow, man, I'm just, you have to excuse me, man. I am having talking about spirit, I'm having a spiritual moment here. Ooh, because deja vu moments for me they are really interesting, okay? They are really interesting because to me they point to so much. It's not just a tripped out feeling of having experienced this before. I know that my spirit jumped in time and experienced this, and it was a marker for me in life. And I think I know what's on the other side of that marker, and I just want to say that I love you all, I bless you all, and hey, all is well. Man. Okay, to answer any questions, go ahead and call in or type in red. One thing I haven't done, brothers and sisters, is I have neglected to tap into the email and to see what individuals may be emailing to us. Tap into that right now. And in looking at the email, let's see here what we get when we get what we got. Okay. Wow, y'all, I got a friend request from somebody. Well, thank you for wanting to be friends with me. Okay, let me get out of that. Okay, so there aren't any questions that need to be asked of me. I want to say that for those of you that desire to contact me, email me. Listen, I really am excited, and I am really uplifted when you do email me. So hey, by all means, feel free to drop me a line. I love to hear from you. Okay, I really, really do. So feel free to email me, even if it's just to say, hey, what's up, Naga? I appreciate that. I really do. It really does make my day. All right, brothers and sisters. You know what? It is 8:30. We're going to be on for just another 5 more minutes. So if you have a question or a comment, please type in red in the chat room, or you may email typing in red, or you may call 877-458-9547. Man, this deja vu moment has really just thrown me off. Man, I know we're talking about spirituality, but man, I didn't know that I was going to have a spiritual moment while we're talking about spirituality. Whew, give me a minute here. This is interesting. Feel free to call in 877-458-9547. It's like everything that I'm saying for the past 3 to 5 minutes, I've already experienced saying that. And that, man, it's like I know what comes after this, but then again, I don't know. At any rate, I think Rasta's having a hard time getting back into the chat room. Let's send her some positive energy. And as well, brothers and sisters, I want to say that with much love and much appreciation, I'm thankful to each and every one of you that drops by and those of you that email me. Hey, when you call upon your ancestors, and by all means, seek spirituality. And let me just say this, seek spirituality, and like me, I feel myself evolving, and I feel myself increasing and growing, and I feel myself losing touch with the mundane things of this world. Okay? So, man, it's almost as if I'm tapping so deep into the spirit. I don't know, maybe one day I'll just float off. I don't know. But nonetheless, with the next few moments that we have, I want to say that we appreciate each and every one of you. We honor you. We love you. And we love the ancestors. And since those of you that are listening seem to be at ease and at peace with all things that you've heard and all things that you have considered, then I say, hey, perhaps it's time to release you to our regularly scheduled broadcast. I want to say that I honor you and I love you and I appreciate all of you that have stopped by, all of you that have listened. This show, maybe even including my deja vu moment, will be uploaded onto iTunes as a part of the E.S. Upchurch podcast, also called Tracing the Steps of Truth podcast. And hey, I'm also going to be starting another, and I'm putting it out there, I'm going to be starting another podcast, okay, on spirituality, where we tap deep into spiritual things, okay? I'm talking about exercises, meditation. I'm talking about, some esoteric truths. I'm talking about symbolism, mythology. We're going to be really tapping into some deep areas of spirituality. If that sounds like it's something that you would want, then I need you to email me. Even those of you that would hear this through the podcasted show, the show that you download, let me know, please. Email me still, and I will greatly consider your comment. All right, brothers and sisters, Ma'at Hotep, we are now going to return you back into the hands of our regularly scheduled broadcast. And by the way, for those of you that would just love to give me some suggestions on what you'd like to hear on WKHR, please feel free to do so. Let me know what you think of our programming, okay? Not just the show. And you know what? You can even let me know what you think about the show on Tuesday nights. But please, 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 email me. Talk to a brother, okay? Holla at me. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you feel. and we can make changes, or we can make things better, or we can just cut some things out completely and totally. We love you. We are now going to return you back to the hands of our regularly scheduled broadcast. We say to each and every one of you, arise upon the wings of Ra, shed light and love upon all those that you come across. Be the answer to someone's problem. Be the solution. Be the love that they need. Be the wisdom in the midst of their chaos. Be the light in the midst of their darkness. And we thank you for joining us. We love you. Be the God that you truly are. You are divine in all of your being. Manifest the light and the truth that you are, and many will rejoice in your presence. I'll say to each and every one of you, we love you, and we'll holler at you next week. Oh, Big 027 says, do you feel fellowship is an important part of spirituality? This is important to me because the only fellowship I have is through shows like this. I can count the number of conscious people on one hand where I live. Big 027, I gotta let you know, man, your statement just moves me, man. It really does. Yes, fellowship is a big part of spirituality. And this is why, you know, I try to love everyone every member of my family, everyone. Listen, I try to spread the love for that reason, Big 027. Because, you know, I'll be honest with you, you know, there's so many of us with different beliefs, different concepts. And listen, I have preached, I've been the Pentecostal preacher, I've been the evangelist, I've been, you know, so many things. And I'm going to tell you, to be conscious and in love with your people and in love with truth, there is no greater joy, there is no greater pleasure than I have. And yes, in moments like this of fellowship, which is why, Big 027, it's why you hear me say, email me, because I would love to hear from you. You know, that's why you hear me say, man, you all in the chat room, I love the fact that you came in to see me and to listen. And I just love that. Thank you so much, because love is my life. Love is all I got. Love is what I do. Love is my strength. Love is my power. And that little bit of spirituality that I get by means of loving my brothers and my sisters is so important to me. And it reveals itself through fellowship. Okay? And yeah, fellowship is so important. Okay? Fellowship is truly important. Zion Hall says, I do want the extra podcast. All right, okay, we got one vote. All right. Rasta says, okay, Rasta's giving me email. All right, and we will definitely, I'm writing it down now, Rasta. I'm writing it down now, and I'm going to email you in just a little bit, okay? Okay, hold on, y'all. I'm writing it down. I know I can multitask. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and email. My sister real quick. Sunlight, much love to you as well, my brother. We do appreciate you. DjehutiRa, man. We love you, man. I'm glad that you're out there. Listen, I love all of my family. Listen, I cannot share with you all how much I love you. I really do. You know, I must admit there's sometimes I do feel like giving up. There's sometimes I feel like the expense that is incurred by even bringing to you this show, sometimes I feel as if it, you know, may not be worth it. But I keep going, okay? And I want to let you know that, you know what, I love each and every one of you. I appreciate your presence, and I don't take your presence lightly. You encourage my heart each time I see you, and I love each and every one of you. I wouldn't know your face if you passed me on the street, but I love you. And hopefully you'd know me enough to say, hey, Mwalimu. So, hey, hopefully you will see me, right? Ma'ado tep to you. We love you. We appreciate you. And we are now going to return you back into the hands of our regularly scheduled broadcast. We love you. We appreciate you. And we pray that the ancestors be with you. Love you, each and every one. Peace and Ma'at Hotep to you all.